This is one of the hardest games of all time, and I'm about to 100% it. To do this, I'll have to find 40 charms, free 46 scrubs, and beat every boss. Oh, and I'm gonna do it completely blind with no guides and no outside help. But first, I need to learn how to play. Right off the bat, I'm loving the movement and atmosphere of the game. Also, I thought I was a ghost, but apparently I'm a bug, and I'm running around fighting other bugs underground. I'll let you know once I know more. I mostly avoided enemies to start and slowly worked up to fighting them as I ran around. Beating enemies drops money, which I'm sure will come in handy down the line. I also found this guy selling a map, which is great because I don't know where anything is yet. As I was wandering around, a beetle jumped from the ceiling and locked the doors behind me. This guy named the False Knight had the honor of giving me my first Hollow Knight death, and even though I died literally hundreds more times after this to dozens of foes, you never forget your first. He also gave me my second, third, and fourth deaths, but fifth time was the charm as I finally defeated my first Hollow Knight boss. The rush of accomplishment from finally seeing this guy explode into orange bug guts instantly hooked me on this game. I impulse bought Hollow Knight for $5 because I love a good deal, but I had zero idea what this game is about. I'd never even seen a second of gameplay, so when I say I knew nothing about how to beat this game, I mean it. It was actually pretty surprising to me to learn this game is only 2D, considering it's so well reviewed. Regardless, 2D does not mean easy, and I was learning that the hard way. I could make a 10-hour death compilation, but I'll stick to just the highlights for this video. This game gives zero direction, so I explored almost entirely aimlessly. Since my goal is to 100% the game, I took special care to check every nook and cranny for hidden items, characters, or areas that I might have missed. Luckily, I still missed tons of secrets despite my best efforts. Speaking of deaths, these sword and shield wielding bipedal bugs killed me more than anything else in the early game. I kept running into them everywhere I went, and I had no clue how to get around their shields. I mostly treated these as an indicator I was going the wrong way and turned around whenever I saw them. This tactic helped guide me to a big progress point in the Hollow Knight story. I met this cute ladybug that I think is my girlfriend, but she immediately tried to kill me. It was probably just a lover's quarrel, and hopefully she forgives me so we can be snuggle bugs tonight. As much as I love a dangerous woman, I did have to fight back, otherwise our relationship and my life would have ended right here. As I explored, I kept discovering pathways that I couldn't access without some kind of power-up, which brings me to the biggest challenge of the early game. Where am I supposed to go? I'm about 8 hours in, and I just unlocked dash and wall jump, which is huge. I've been stuck trying to figure out where to go, and I think this will unlock some new directions for me. Also, I discovered this beetle taxi that I've nicknamed the Slug Bug. He's great for getting me around the map quickly. Now that I can move around freely, I discovered the Mantis Council. This is where I learned how unforgiving this game can be. Getting to the council involves traversing an elaborate labyrinth layered with enemies, and since there's no spawn points nearby, I have to run through it before every attempt at this boss fight. Basically, I spend 5 minutes running back just to get my butt kicked almost immediately. Eventually, I decided to tuck my tail between my legs and walk away from this fight, leaving both my pride and confidence behind. Hopefully, I can get some upgrades that make this fight a little easier later on. Since the Mantis Council was blocking me from going left, I decided to go right, which is where I discovered the City of Tears. I later found this was very aptly named because I spent a lot of time lost and crying here. My own pending mental breakdown aside, one of the coolest parts of this game is discovering the remnants of civilizations past. It adds an element of life and intrigue to the world that makes me excited to search for more secrets of ancient bug societies going forward. Also, my girlfriend's finally back, and she's clearly been really busy, which is probably why she's not hanging out with me much lately. By now, I'd unlocked most of the core movement and figured out how to find new areas by looking at my map. My focus during the mid-game was on thoroughly exploring new areas, beating harder enemies, and progressing the story. There was still lots of wandering around, but since I need to unlock every secret to 100% this game, it still served a purpose. I was even still discovering hidden passageways and shortcuts even this far into the main story. The depth of this world is amazing. Since I don't have access to any guides, I'm randomly discovering upgrades and power-ups as I go. Learning I could strengthen my nail was a huge surprise and will make some of these more challenging boss fights actually winnable. I actually feel like I should have found this a long time ago, and it would have made everything I've done up till now way easier. After beetling this dung beetle with my sharpened nail, I was starting to feel a bit stuck. I kept feeling like I'd been every direction in this subterranean world, but I still couldn't consistently figure out where to go. Without a guide, I spent hours wandering back and forth, looking for passages or breakable walls, but since this world is so beautiful and interesting, I never felt bored or frustrated. At least, not yet. I was a true adventurer and pioneer, exploring, discovering, searching for any undiscovered territory. Big breakthroughs were few and far between, but they were so sweet since they meant I was a big step closer to my goal. But after 20 hours of gameplay, I was still finding enemies I couldn't even touch. I knew I'd have to beat these eventually, but at this point I was David trying to fight Goliath. But with every path blocked by a powerful enemy, it was time for David to go to war. So I've run into a problem where every direction is blocked by a different boss, and none of them have health bars, so I don't even know which ones I'm close to beating. Distinguishing which bosses I was and wasn't ready for was still challenging since I had so little information to go on. I came back to my old friends at the Mantis Council for round 2, but when I beat the first Mantis, my heart dropped because immediately 2 more Manti flew in to fight me simultaneously. But with a lot of persistence and maybe the help of a bug higher power, I was finally beating bosses and progressing toward 100% completion. Inventory management was another challenge. I was terrified of using up or selling items that might have a better use down the road, so I only sold things when I really needed the money for charms ahead of big battles. This will probably mean ending the game with a bunch of useless artifacts and a stockpile of cash I can't use, but it's better safe than sorry. I did have to sell a few things for some quick cash, since I managed to lose all of the money I'd been working so hard to save all game. I found a fountain asking me to drop all my money in it, and this felt like a scam, but since I don't have a guide, the only way to know for sure was actually dropping all my money in it. I figured there was no way the game would actually scam me, so I put everything I had in this fountain, and nothing happened. I just got scammed by an inanimate object. I found a new pathway and discovered the Battle Coliseum, which I was hoping would give me the ability to jump higher or maybe walk on water, since that's what I need to progress in a few different directions. Unfortunately, clearing out the Battle Coliseum was much easier said than done. I beat the first 2 levels of the Coliseum, but they were tough. I probably tried each about 30 times with a bunch of different charm combinations, but now I'm trying level 3 and I can't even sniff the end of the fight. This is called the Trial of Fools, and I absolutely feel like a fool. If this is really how I need to progress this game, I might just be stuck. At this point, I traversed deep into the underground to learn a new technique from Bug Sensei, but even that wasn't enough to take down the Trial of Fools. After wasting about 5 hours here, I learned there's an entirely different direction I can go, and I actually don't have to beat level 3 of the Coliseum at all. Well, at least not yet. At this point, I was about 35 hours in, and I finally discovered my first dreamer, which I think means I'm getting close to finishing the game. This also led me to a lot of unexplored passageways, which means a huge jump in percent completion. One reason Hollow Knight is so challenging is that fights in this game are all completely unique. Every time I battle a new bug boss, I have to learn entirely new movesets and attack patterns, and I always die on my first try. In fact, most bosses kill me at least a dozen times before I figure them out. But I am nothing if not persistent, so after each death I would run back and smash my exoskeleton against my enemies until I finally stumbled my way through the fight. And with every boss beaten, I got closer and closer to my goal. It's amazing that even after 35 hours of gameplay, I'm still unlocking core movement abilities like Super Dash or the ability to swim in acid. With most games, I would have already had all of these 20 hours ago, but unlocking them later helps to build up the depth of this world. I also got scammed again. I went to withdraw my money from the bank to buy a big upgrade, but my bug banker was gone and the building was a cardboard cutout. So far, I've been scammed out of all my money twice. I had to fight my girlfriend again, which I do not condone, but she likes to get physical, and honestly, I'm kinda into it. After she warmed me up, I was ready to challenge this game's final boss, the Hollow Knight. This fight was not easy, but after a few hours of trial and error and death, my tiny little bug managed to defeat the legendary Hollow Knight, and roll credits. But wait, I'm only at 70% completion, and I need 100. Even after finally unlocking access to 100% of the map, the secrets of the Hollow Knight universe continue to evade me. Hours have been spent wandering, looking for any cracked wall, any captured grubs, or any secrets I might have missed. This is where this went from a fun challenge to an unthinkable, insanity-evoking grind. Generations of real-world bugs were born, raised, and died in the time it took me to make even a single percentage of progress. My biggest leap forward was discovering a map of all existing grubs, which helped reveal a few secret areas I hadn't discovered before. I was elated to finally send my final grubs home to their friends, but when I came back a bit later to check on my grub companions, the chief had ate every single grub I'd spent so long trying to save. I tried to kill him to avenge my friends, but apparently eating his comrades made him invincible and also very, very happy. But a bug's life must go on, so back to the grind. By this point, my tiny legs were exhausted from running marathons underground. Since I was still missing 6 or 7 charms, I knew there had to be an undiscovered area, but with no guide and no game knowledge, it was almost impossible to discover these tiny details on such a massive map. About 60 hours into my adventure, my antenna started tingling as I noticed these honeybees were somewhat out of place. It was here that I discovered the catacombs, or in this case, the honeycombs, and made a few big strides toward 100% completion. I found some extra power in the honeycombs that helped me beat bosses that up till then had seemed unbeatable. Defeating them granted me access to this game's final hidden area, the White Palace. After a few hours of searching, I found the White Palace's secret charm, which granted me access to the last few quests and brought me up to 98% completion. As I approached 80 hours played, my sanity and confidence both began to waver. But just when I thought I would never 100% this game, something changed. So, an evil bug cult moved into my hometown. At least, I'm guessing they're evil based on the ominous red glow coming from their tents. Luckily, I'm only a few percentage points off 100, so this should be the final quest I need to do to beat this challenge. After fetching some magic fire to cozy up to the cult, I fought the cult leader in front of a crowd that would make the Beatles jealous. This was the hardest fight of the game, but at this point, I was so close to completion, nothing could stop me from completing this challenge. After a few hours of attempts, I finally silenced the booing bugs and defeated their leader in his own arena. After this, I went and found the final charm I was missing. At this point, I had everything I needed, but to make it official, I went back and fought the legendary Hollow Knight one final time. Despite this taking dozens of attempts the first time, I was now completely overpowered and absolutely demolished this boss. I think I also unlocked a secret ending, but after the credits rolled, I knew I could finally rest. After 83 hours, 23 minutes, and 25 seconds, I finally 100%ed Hollow Knight with no guides and no outside help. I thought this day would never come. After over 100 hours, I have finally 100%ed this game. And as fun as this challenge was, I am so glad it is finally over.